States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We show good faith to our first responders and all of our armed troops overseas. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Diane Festino, Township Clerk of Jackson Township. The time is now 7:30, and we'll open a regular council meeting of February 8th, 2022. We'll begin with a roll call. Councilman Borelli?
Here.
Councilman Chisholm is absent this evening. Councilman Sawicki?
Here.
Council Vice President Kern?
Here.
Council President Fleming?
Here.
Attorney Gregory McGuckin?
Here.
Also present this evening is our Business Administrator, Terrence Wall, and Mayor Michael Reyna. As clerk of this meeting, I publicly announce that in compliance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been advertised in the manner prescribed by law. The statement shall be entered into the minutes of the meeting. We will now begin with a presentation this evening from Jackson Township Police Officers.
All yours.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for the record of the meeting minutes. I am Chief Matthew Kunz of the Jackson Township Police Department. I am honored to stand before the Township Council meeting this evening to present several police promotions. I thank Council President Fleming for the opportunity to take precedence in your meeting. And I, of course, have to thank Mayor Reyna, without whom his support and the mayoral appointment for these positions, we would not be here tonight. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, and thank the Business Administrator, and really the entirety of the administration that has been so supportive of our police department. At this time, I'm going to call forward each of those officers that will be promoted tonight. I will point out that any family or friends that do want to come up and take a picture, this is also kind of a family time. Don't be shy. Come right up, capture these moments, because you're going to want to keep them for all posterity. So I'm going to begin this evening by calling forward Police Officer Matthew Roth. A few words about Police Officer Roth. He was born and raised in Jackson, New Jersey. He is a 1998 graduate of the Jackson Memorial High School. After high school, Officer Roth pursued higher education at Ocean County College and then enlisted in the United States Army as an infantryman, where he served on active duty for 4 years. He deployed for 3 tours overseas, including the initial invasion of Iraq, known as Operation Iraqi Freedom. He serves currently in the Army Reserves as a drill sergeant. As for his law enforcement career, Officer Roth is a 16-year veteran of the department's patrol division. Some career highlights include he is a former member of the Ocean County Regional SWAT Team, and he instructs both defensive tactics and mobile field force for the department. His commendations include being a recipient of the Mothers Against Drunk Driving Award for his drinking and driving enforcement successes, and he has received a unit citation as well. Matt is engaged to be married this year to his fiancée, Crystal. He has 2 children, Gianna and Charlie Grace, as well as 2 future stepchildren, Joseph and Celia. Joining Police Officer Roth for the oath of office for the position of police sergeant will be his family, and Police Officer Roth's daughter, Gianna, will be holding the Bible for the oath of office. At this time, I'll ask the Township Clerk to join us to give the oath of office.
I, Matthew Roth, do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly perform the duties of sergeant according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Sergeant Roth. At this time, I would like to call forward Police Detective Michael Gels. A few words about Detective Michael Gels. Detective Gels, badge number 267, was born and raised in Jackson Township. He graduated from Jackson Memorial High School in 2003. He went on to pursue a degree in criminal justice, ultimately attaining a Bachelor of Science degree from the College of New Jersey. Detective Gels was hired by the Ocean County Sheriff's Department in August 2007 and attended the Ocean County Police Academy. 1 year later, in August 2008, he was hired by the Jackson Police Department. During his career with the Jackson Police Department, Detective Gels has been assigned to the afternoon and midnight patrol shifts. In January 2019, Detective Gels joined the Detective Bureau, where he investigated all types of crimes, including fraud, motor vehicle theft, and animal cruelty, as a humane law enforcement officer, or HELO. Detective Gels has been nominated for Police Officer of the Year in 2011 and 2014. He attended Basic SWAT School, the FBI Sniper School, and has been a member of the Ocean County Regional Sniper Team since 2012. Detective Gels has received several commendations throughout his career, including a life-saving citation and multiple unit citations. Detective Gels is married to his beautiful wife, Katie, and together they have 2 daughters, Riley and Morgan, and are currently expecting their 3rd child, a boy, due this May. Detective Gels spends his free time with his family, going to the beach and camping. He also enjoys working on and detailing cars, as well as playing softball for the department's PBA softball team. Joining Detective Gels for the oath of office will be his wife, Katie. I'll call the Township Clerk forward for the oath of office.
I, Michael Gels, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform the duties of sergeant according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Sergeant Gels. At this time, I would like to call forward Detective John Rodriguez. Detective John Rodriguez was born and raised in Staten Island, New York, until he and his family moved to Jackson Township in 1997. John graduated from Jackson Memorial High School in 1999 and attended the College of New Jersey from 1999 through 2003, where he studied economics. In the summer of 2003, John was hired and attended the Ocean County Police Academy, class number 81, where he graduated as the class valedictorian. John has proudly served the Township of Jackson as a patrolman for 9 years before achieving the position of detective in 2012. John also maintained a secondary assignment to the Ocean County Regional SWAT Team from 2008 through 2011. As a detective, John Rodriguez specialized in sexual assault investigations and has brought hundreds of such cases to a successful law enforcement conclusion. John is a recipient of the Excellent Police Duty Ribbon, the Life Saving Award, Good Conduct Ribbon, and 3 citations. During his tenure, John has also served as the PD's PBA president for 3 terms and has enjoyed giving back to the residents of Jackson Township through a variety of community events and fundraisers, many of which would not have been possible without the support of our elected officials and the police department leadership. In his off-duty time, John enjoys nothing more than spending time running around and causing general mayhem with his 2 children, Sam and Sophia. He volunteers as a waiter at the John Bon Jovi Soul Kitchen in Red Bank whenever time allows, and also takes part in monthly garbage pickup on the streets of Red Bank. John has a soft spot for Corvettes and restores classic cars as a hobby. At this time, joining Detective Rodriguez for the oath of office will be half of Team Mayhem, Sophia.
I, John Rodriguez, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform the duties of sergeant according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Sergeant John Rodriguez. At this time, I would like to call forward Police Officer Keith Yerkes. Police Officer Keith Yerkes. He was born in 1989 and was raised in Jackson Township. He also is a graduate of Jackson Memorial High School, graduating in the class of 2007. He went on to college, obtaining an associate's degree at Brookdale Community College in 2010. As for his law enforcement history, Police Officer Yerkes attended Monmouth County Police Academy in 2007 and 2008 for the Seagirt Police Department, and he worked there as a Class II police officer from 2007 through 2010. He then continued working as a Class II police officer for the Ocean Gate Police Department from 2010 through 2012, and then as a Class II police officer for the Mount Holly Police Department, 2012 and 2013. Officer Yerkes was hired full-time with Ocean County Department of Corrections in 2013, where he worked as a corrections officer for 1 year prior to being hired with the Jackson Township Police Department in 2014. His career assignments and highlights include being an emergency medical technician for the Quality Ambulance Service, a physical fitness instructor at Ocean County Police Academy, a field training officer, and a DARE officer. Police Officer Yerkes is supported in his law enforcement career by his wife, Nadine, and son, Knox. This evening, joining Police Officer Yerkes for the oath of office will be his brother, Detective Brant Yerkes, of the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. I'll call forward the clerk for the oath of office.
I, Keith Yerkes, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform the duties of sergeant according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Sergeant Yerkes. And at this time, I would like to call forward Sergeant George Vidalis. Sergeant George Vidalis, born and raised in Jackson Township, is a 1986 graduate of Jackson Memorial High School. Following high school, he attended Ocean County College, where he received an associate's degree. Sergeant Vidalis continued his education at Fairleigh Dickinson University, where he obtained both his bachelor's and master's degrees. Sergeant Vidalis was appointed to the Jackson Police Department in December of 2008 and graduated the Ocean County Police Academy in 2003, and graduated in May of 2004. Almost pulled it off without the glasses. While spending the majority of his time in the patrol division, he has also become an active member in a number of specialized divisions throughout the department, such as Jackson Police Department Motorcycle Unit, Ocean County Regional Special Response Team, Emergency Vehicle Operator Instructor for the Ocean County Police Academy and the Jackson Police Department, Firearms and Rifle Instructor for the Ocean County Police Department, Ocean County Police Academy and the Jackson Police Department, and he is a member of the Jackson Police Department Traffic Unit. During Sergeant Vidalis' time with the Jackson Police Department, he has received a number of departmental awards, including multiple unit citations, multiple command citations, the Excellent Duty Award, the Life Saving Award, the Good Conduct Award, Pistol Expert Award, and Physical Training Award. Sergeant Vidalis is also an active member of our community, participating in charity events benefiting worthy causes. He devotes almost all of his free time to coach both his boys in baseball and soccer. Although he has many hobbies, what he enjoys most is spending time with his family. Sergeant Vidalis is supported by his wife of 11 years, Tracy, and 2 young sons, Christopher and Michael, and many family members and friends. And I believe his family will now join him for the oath of office. Madam Clerk.
I, George Vidalis, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform the duties of lieutenant according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
At this time, this would conclude our presentation of these promotions. Once again, I really must point out that, especially in the very recent past, this administration has really been going above and beyond to make sure that the police department is growing commensurate with the township so that we can provide the best possible police services. So once again, I would like to call out Mayor Reyna, the Township Committee, the Business Administrator, and all of our township officials for the good work they're doing to keep up with the growth of the town. At this time, if anybody wanted to grab a picture of your family members, please do so, after which I believe the town's going to take a one-moment break and get on to their next presentation. Is that correct, madam? Okay. Thank you again for coming out tonight, and please join me in wishing all of these officers continued health, safety, and success as they serve the community. Thank you.
Guys, slide over a little bit so we're even.
The chief told me to go the other way.
Oh, you did?
Good. Okay, eyes front. Big smile.
You ready? All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Anybody else go ahead? Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations. Congratulations, sir. Best of luck to you. Congratulations. Congratulations. All the best. Chief, that's right.
I'm gonna say my stuff about you. Well done, sir. Congratulations, pal.
Kind of funny. Give it a minute. They're all staying? No way. Doubt it. No way. Oh, next. Heard a little bit of a snore.
That makes sense.
Okay. We will now continue with our second presentation of this evening, a presentation by Colliers Engineering on Jackson Township Recreation and Open Space.
Thank you. Good evening. Okay. As you know, my name is J.D. Felice. I'm a landscape architect and planner with Colliers Engineering and Design, formerly Mazer Consulting, as of last summer. We've been working throughout last summer and into the fall on an evaluation of all the open space and recreation within the township. The last one was done, I believe, 12 years ago in 2010. So by state law, you need to have it updated every 10 years. So that's what we have done for you, is stepped back, looked at the recreation, looked at the changes since 2010, and done an evaluation of your existing parks and open space, and looking at them relative to the growth of the town. We noticed that over time, the population was growing rapidly there for a number of decades, and it's still growing, so your recreation needs are constantly evolving. And the one thing I'd like to say is, after doing all the evaluation, the town has done a very good job of meeting the needs, recreation needs of the residents. A lot of the recommendations that were made in the 2010 plan have been enacted. There was a discussion about having more neighborhood parks. You built those, and so it's a lot of the things that were set out in the 2010 plan have been achieved. Working relationships were very good. I worked with the Pathfinder group. They were very helpful. I worked with the county land trusts. They were very helpful. Everybody who I contacted with regards to the report were very forthcoming and very helpful in helping me to get an idea of what they were doing, why they were doing it, and how they were doing it. So that's all positive. What I had given you was a memo that, after evaluations of what might be the things moving forward, and that's why I wanted to come out and speak to you tonight. I would consider this to be a draft of the final report, but I guess I would be looking for any additional input that the mayor and council may have as far as recreation or things that you might want me to look at or you think are important that maybe I should be focused on before we get to the final report. Go ahead. Okay. The couple of things that kind of happened, that kind of jumped out were, it seems like there's a need for additional football fields. I've heard that from a couple different sources. You do have land at like Woodland, and you have some places where you could conceivably do the football. I do believe that in my discussions with Joey Lynn, that they were going to put up some additional goalposts at a couple of locations, but that came out as a need, additional football fields throughout the town. The other discussion we had was with regards to Johnson Park. I understand that at one point there was a restroom there that is not there anymore. There was a discussion that we had, knowing that you have events there, of possibly looking at something to develop an amphitheater type of space which would have restrooms. It's something we've done before. We can do this as a prefabricated structure, but to kind of have a building out there that would be able to have restroom. It's a big park with a lot of use. So I would think, and I understand that, during events, you do porta johns and all that, but it would seem like the type of place that would warrant a restroom. And the development of a nice amphitheater type of arrangement. It could be at the far end, that opened out to the large field. Design-wise, there's a number of different options. And that's something else that we do as a firm. I'm a landscape architect, so we do park master planning. And, so as I'm going around, I'm looking at the parks both from a planning aspect, but also from a landscape architect's aspect of how could this work better. There's been asking for pickleball courts. This is something that we've seen all over the state. As the generations age and the knees no longer can quite do the tennis, a lot of people are turning to pickleball, which has a little less strenuous on the knees and hips. So there is the ability to modify tennis courts, but you don't really want to eliminate tennis courts, but there is a way to make them multifunctional, tennis courts and pickleball courts. But the other option is to look possibly at Johnson of maybe adding a few pickleball courts to the end of the row of the tennis courts. That's an option. At various parks, I did notice that there is some ADA issues of getting people from wherever, parking lots, curbs, to facilities. That's something that can be done over time. For example, like there's a playground at Woodland, and it should have a walkway from the parking area to the playground. And then we talked about circulation and parking. So Wood Lane, Johnson Park, Putnam Park, and Vista Sandbowl Park all have stone parking lots. As you get more and more use, there might be some consideration of making some of those parking areas paved. As a landscape architect, we've done a lot of things trying to do porous asphalt, so we're not increasing runoff, but yet can provide paved surface in certain parking areas. So there's a number of things that can happen there, but as I see that as the parks develop and get used more and more, you get to a point where they're being used so much that they kind of need a little bit more than just stone in areas. You can have overflow parking with stone, but the other thing that had come up was the possibility of a community center for the recreation department. That's a long-range type of thing, but that was something that came up in our discussions as far as where it goes. That's optional, but it's a 12-month-a-year facility that could serve for winter sports and that type of thing, a large pole barn type of space. So that's mostly the recreation things. Are there any questions on that or comments?
Just a quick question, if I could. You mentioned amphitheater and pickleball, which I think are two things that we have yet to see in this town. Are there any other types of facilities in your experience that you think we should be thinking about that you don't see in Jackson right now?
No, that was my initial comment. You have the spray ground, you have met most of the range, and inside of the report, you'll see that I've analyzed all your facilities and also compared them to national averages and where you're on par to what you should be. But really, the amphitheater and pickleball. And the other thing we see and are seeing more and more of is walking trails, which that leads me then to the other part of this, which is the open space and the trails.
Great.
So you have a lot of, go ahead.
Go ahead.
One of the other things that has been brought up to me is there's a game that they play, that the children play inside of a circle. It's a
Gaga.
What is it?
Gaga?
Gaga, thank you.
Yeah, that's something that's very
So that's
easily.
something that's an opportunity?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Now, I probably will put that at Justice because Justice is where you have your summer camp. And I noticed when I was out here in the summer that, you know, there people were playing volleyball, there were kids on the you know, the playgrounds and the spray park. So I would think that might be the logical
I
place.
understand they're not so big, so you could possibly add them to even some of the playgrounds, no?
Yeah, exactly. They could come off of, there's space around the spray ground and the playground there. That, yeah, they could probably fit.
I meant at the neighborhood playgrounds.
Oh, yeah, that could be too.
Okay.
Here again, we've worked those in.
Gaga. G-A-G-A.
They're called Gaga pits. And
It's a Gaga pit.
I don't know how they got their name.
Your kids will know, or your grandkids.
Can I bring up the possibility of pavilions
Of,
at Johnson Park? Just to provide more, possibly more seating for, you know, residents. Try to make Johnson Park like a destination for people like Windward Beach and Brick and Gilly Park and Lacey Township.
okay,
Just throwing out that suggestion.
definitely.
Yeah, more picnic table areas too, being that Johnson Park's one of our
Yeah, I noticed.
largest parks, or if not the largest park in our town.
No, but it's quite large. But yeah, it does, those are other things as far as park master planning that I would see is, for example, at the playground area, you have picnic tables and some benches there, but you don't really have any shade, you know, shade structures. I know, you know, a lot of times, and I noticed it myself when I was out there, you know, grandparents would be bringing kids, and it gets a little hot out there for them. So, you know, those are the other types of things that would be recommended, you know, doing some types of pavilions in various places that could serve as, what we find is that if we put them in, people come out and have a picnic and, you know, they end up being gathering spots. There's also I did want to mention, there's also a area behind the playground at Johnson, which looks like it could be turned into another field area. Possibly a football field as needed, but there's a flat area. I guess it was an old dump or something? I'm not sure.
The entire thing was a dump.
Yeah. So it might have differential settlement, but you could probably use it for a football field.
Thank you.
Very good. So the other thing that we did was that we talked to the county and looked at your open space, looked at what your open space was. The township owns quite a decent amount of land. A lot of it is contiguous, but a lot of it is also various parcels all over. And I kind of did a whole inventory of the properties that were owned by the township. And then from there, tried to figure out, and then I went back and read the Toms River Headwaters study, and I always get this wrong, Metaconk area study, and then looked at the Ocean County Land Trust, and got an understanding of what they were trying to do of kind of focusing on the land down in the south part to cover the watershed areas, the upper ends of the Toms River watershed. It all makes sense, and it all seems like it's, you know, they've acquired properties over the last 10 years to kind of enhance that and cover most of that area. So I guess the question was, moving forward, the discussion would be, that program can continue, but if there are other open spaces sought, you have a property that I believe is referenced as Franklin Mills, or Franklin, it's a piece of land back behind Great Adventure. So the idea would be to try to look at adding on to existing parklands as possible, you know, see, and I had this discussion with Terrence about, you know, if things come up for sale, you know, looking at things that would be contiguous to existing parklands so that now you can kind of grow. I did look at, and I tried to look at the possibility of developing trails across the town, but there probably are a little bit too many hang-ups to trying to, short of going through the utility right-of-ways, it would be very difficult to, say, connect the, you know, the northeast part of town to the southwest part of town. Besides, you know, it's a very large landmass. But what we did look at, so that, you know, that's like the open space aspect. I don't know if you have any questions on that, but I think you probably are aware of all the things that have been happening with that over the years. But like I said, the county was very helpful. The county open space people were very helpful, you know, explaining their process. But that leads us to then the trail aspect. And like I said, I tried to look at the trails because that is something that people like, and, you know, talk to the Jackson Pathfinder people. You'll see that their maps are in here, as well as the county did a trail at Patriots, and the state on their property on the environmental, I'm trying to remember the name of that piece. They have a property that
The nursery?
The State Forest Research Center?
yeah, they have a number of trails in there too. So as opposed to looking at the possibility of having a trail go across town, or I was starting to look at the possibility of connecting, say, the county, the state land. You have Putnam, and then you have the Justice Complex, and you own land, and the state owns land behind there. So there's a possibility to create quite an interesting trail network where you could come in on Patriots and go out at Justice, and, you know, have a whole network. And you'll see I did a sketch on that in here. It will require coordination, you know, between the county and the state and the town, but it could be a very interesting feature to be able to walk for a couple miles.
Very good.
Council President,
Yes, sir.
if I may. So where we go from here, Jackson is the third largest municipality by landmass in New Jersey. It's the envy of the state. The town has a history of rural character and recreation opportunities and all of those things for families to liberate, work and raise a family. The idea here was the reason this was directed to be brought in last year is when this started, at the direction of the mayor, was to first understand where all the resources are, right? And then to see to what extent we would improve and then expand according to where the governing body, where the mayor and the governing body wish to go. And that would tie into our capital budget, is where I was going with that. So there are different requests during periods of time, and then getting input also from the departments that are working in the recreation area for children and families, and just talk to all generations to see what they were looking for. But also, this ties into, which we didn't get into tonight, but just briefly, mapping. So anyone who's new to the community, who's been in the community for a number of years, they may not quite know where all the amenities are and how they're listed and how to get there. So part of the programming is the mapping product that Colliers can put together. So folks, communities, folks that are new to the town or been here many, many years, may not, within 100 square miles, 1,100 roads and 200 miles of roadway, where are these amenities? How do I get there? And do you want to speak briefly to that before you conclude?
Yes, our GIS department is working on a program of setting up mapping that, so that if you, say, put in there where Vista Sandball Park is, it'll show you, it'll tell you what's there. So taking the information that we are gathering in here and doing it so that it's interactive in the GIS format, so that anybody could find any park, or, you know, you say, I'm looking for a spray ground, well, that's directs you then to Justice, or so it interactive.
And it would be
like
capable of going onto our website. You could get a map up on our website.
Yeah. Yep.
So that could inform the entire community. And that may dovetail with some of the dynamics and conversations with Rover, the Rover Committee, and your planning and processes there. So the idea is for all of it to dovetail together and work in harmony. And also to communicate it to the folks in Jackson and the guests that are in Jackson, so they can enjoy those amenities and know where they are.
That's great.
Yep.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem.
We will now continue with opening comments from Township Council. Councilman Borelli?
Thank you, Clerk Festina. First, congratulations to our police officers promoted tonight. Thankful for their service. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they continue to keep our great town safe and secure 24/7. On tonight's agenda for first reading is Ordinance 07-22, creating a Going Green Committee. The idea of Going Green Committee for Jackson was first brought to my attention in Councilman Chisholm's last year by our Township's recycling coordinator, Irina Durar. Started doing the research on this idea and checking to see if other towns in New Jersey had Going Green committees. And I found out that towns in our area like Howell, Brick, Toms River, Freehold, Wall, and Neptune already had these Going Green committees or green teams. Actually, according to sustainablejersey.com, 81% of New Jersey towns and cities participate. That's 463 municipalities out of the 564 municipalities in our state. So I say, why not Jackson? Why don't we try this out by launching a Going Green committee, as most other New Jersey municipalities have done already, and especially for a town our size and with the natural resources that Jackson has. The proposed Going Green Committee's main focus will be looking for ways to save our town money through grants and other possible means, and protect our environment in Jackson at the same time. If this ordinance passes and is signed into law, we're going to need residents who live in our town and who work for the township here in Jackson to serve on this committee. Membership will include up to 2 members of the Township Council, mayor's designees, a planning board chair designee, environmental commission chair designee, shade tree commission chair designee, pathfinders designee, an MUA designee, board of education designee, chamber of commerce designee, and such other resident and volunteers up into including a total of 15 members for this committee. Also, I want to speak about a couple of resolutions also on tonight's agenda, 098R-22 and 099R-22. These resolutions are all about our opposition to Governor Murphy continuing the public health emergency and mandating healthcare workers and corrections officers get vaccinated against COVID-19 as a condition of continuing employment, contradicting his promise not to. This is wrong and immoral on so many levels. We're way past the public health emergency, and the wearing of masks has been damaging the kids. And now we heard yesterday he's going to lift the mask wearing in schools only because he's reportedly receiving pressure to. Liberal, out-of-touch elites in our country like Governor Murphy continue these unconstitutional mandates after 2 whole years, despite no solid data or science to support them. We have seen everyday people stand up and fight against this insanity. Many have even run for public office and won. Senator Ed Durr's election down in South Jersey is a prime example of it. He's sponsoring Bill S-1106. We have seen parents across our great land, including in our great town of Jackson, including some in this room, who have stood up and spoke at Board of Ed meetings to fight for their rights to make the decisions for their kids. And that's where it belongs, not at the hands of a governor and one-size-fits-all bureaucracy. Wearing masks and vaccinations should be a personal individual choice and up to parents to decide for their children and themselves as well, not schools and surely not government, which more times than not doesn't function well. The Jackson Township Council supports the parents by lending our voices to their rightful cause, and we need advocates on the school board who will too. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Councilman Sawicki?
Thank you. It's going to be a tough one to follow. Some really great comments, and I appreciate all the work that Councilman Borelli did around the resolutions 98, 99 on our consent agenda. Also wanted to extend my congratulations to the recently promoted police officers. A couple things to note. One, the chief was very gracious in thanking the council, the mayor, and the business administrator. I concur with that as well. I think collectively, we certainly have always had the back of JPD, and this administration, I think, continues to ensure that we have enough police officers reflective of the size of the town. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, our police department is second to none in the state. Another thing I noticed is every one of them were graduates of Jackson High Schools. Memorial, I believe, right? Just Memorial? Yep. There's a few of us up here as well. And it's great to see that people that were born here, lived here, graduated from high school here, are still that involved in the town that they grew up in. So again, congratulations to them. On the heels of the presentation, the second presentation given about open space, it's no secret this council's been very forward-thinking about open space in the town. We put up a ballot question to the residents of the town last year, asking them if they thought it was smart to raise the open space tax. That passed overwhelmingly last year, and our open space fund continues to grow and have put funds aside for us to continue to look for areas within the town to preserve them. One that we did in 2019 that was mentioned as part of the presentation and subsequently by the BA was Rover Farms. And it got a great response then. Last meeting, the council voted unanimously to implement the Rover Farms Preservation Subcommittee, which was something we put forth to start the project work around what Rover Farms can be going forward. I can tell you the response to that has been overwhelming. We had originally designated 10 spots for it. We are well beyond that in terms of interest. But what I wanted to point out more than anything is where the interest is coming from. Obviously, residents from town, which was a requirement. But in addition, we have the Pathfinders, numerous historians, people that actually think about this stuff a lot more than probably I do, and have some really good ideas around it. Members of St. Vladimir's Church, which we very much want involved as well, since they have the history of the area and are right there. And then folks from even outside the town that have offered to be advisors, not necessarily on the committee since they're not residents, but certainly we will take their advice as we consider it going forward. And just to set expectations with the council president's agreement and the council's permission, we'll be looking forward to appointing folks to that committee very soon. We don't want to waste a lot of time, and I would expect, if not by the next meeting, the meeting after, we'll be looking to formally nominate people for that committee. So thanks to those that have shown interest. For anyone else that is interested, I just ask that you complete a citizens leadership form, which you'll find on the township website. It's a requirement for all subcommittees, this one included, and get them in soon because we'll be making those appointments. Thank you. Everyone that came in tonight, thanks for coming out, and safe home.
Thank you. Vice President Kern?
Thank you. Again, want to share my congratulations to the 5 Jackson Memorial High School graduates that were promoted to their new ranks, 4 sergeants and a lieutenant, this evening in our police department. And I want to be very clear that we need to thank their families. We need to thank their families for allowing them to leave their homes, to come out and protect us in our homes, us at these meetings, us out on the street, and be there in our time of need. So thank you very much to all their families. I would like to echo Councilman Borelli's comments about the mandates and the mask mandate in particular. And it begs the question, what does the governor know that's gonna happen on March 6th, March 7th, that's, magically gonna be okay for the kids to not wear masks the next day? Is there some sort of new thing that's coming out on that day? No, there's nothing. It's absolutely political. It's a date that was picked arbitrarily and capriciously and just thrown out there. There's no thought behind it. It's just about politics and control. With the open space and parks, no secret that I'm very, very proud of the job that the mayor and the administration has done with our neighborhood parks and the different programs that we have. And also, even for this year with the turf field replacements that we're working on and the other pieces, we are constantly looking to upgrade our parks throughout the towns and looking for ways to make recreation better for all of our citizens. So with that, thank you very much for coming out, and please get home safe.
Thank you. Council President Fleming.
Thank you, and welcome everybody for coming tonight. It's nice to see a few more faces in the crowd. I'd also like to congratulate our new sergeants and lieutenants. It's nice to see everybody being homegrown like that. I want to draw your attention to Ordinance 0622, which is down for first reading. We had a very similar ordinance last meeting up for first reading, but there was enough changes in it that we wanted to start from scratch. It's that simple. The last thing I wanted to talk about is our little snowstorm the other night, or last week, excuse me. It was a long snowstorm. It was an 18-hour ordeal. Township did a pretty good job cleaning up the roads within 24 hours. What I did notice is the lack of anybody doing their sidewalks. It's a safety issue, it's an insurance issue, it's a neighborly issue. You have to take care of these things. The volunteer departments were out shoveling out their own hydrants for several nights to get them clear. Believe it or not, there's an ordinance on the books. It's new. It was in 1864, okay? But you're required to do this. Get it done. It needs to be done. It's the proper thing to do. Thanks for everybody coming tonight. Have a safe trip home when you go home. And Mayor, your turn.
Well, I thought I had to wait for Ms. Festino to tell me I can talk, but thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. For the sake of expediency, I'll be short, or as short as I can be. Naturally, first and foremost, public safety, job one. You saw another bunch of promotions tonight, and in the near future, we're probably going to have some new police officers standing in front of you as we introduce you to them. The council, once again, has illustrated their dedication to all of Jackson Township. The comments tonight are no different than any other night. They recognize what needs to be done. They work very closely with Administrator Wall and myself. Communication's never been any better. This is a team up here. It's not going to change. We're going to continue to work for you. And the key component, ladies and gentlemen, is communication. Communication is as simple as a phone call, an email to any of us if you have any questions that need to be answered by the council, by administration, by myself even. So never feel uncomfortable. Just touching on Murphy's mandates, I'm hoping that the Jackson Township Board of Ed does not succumb like other townships already and said they're going to abide by the mandate and keep it in place. Jackson Township Board of Ed is a very strong function of the town. We get along quite well. I hope they see the reason to let these children breathe freely and get on with their studies and interact socially and expression-wise, because when you're wearing a mask, I have no idea what you're doing, if you're sticking your tongue at me or you're smiling, so I'm sure these children need that kind of interaction. Last but not least, let's talk about the snowstorm. First words out of everybody's mouth is, when are the plows coming? Well, the plows are out. Here's what happens. The minute the plow comes out, some people think, because they have front-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, that all the roads are clear. And then they go out, they leave their driveways, the sanctity of the safety of their own homes, a little bit ahead of schedule, and get stuck in snowdrifts. Now we can't come by with the plows because we have a car stuck in the middle of the roadway. Or we have worse, we have an overturned car. And then there's some people that like to get their cars and cut off plows. Very dangerous. Please don't do it. But these are the things I witnessed in 47 hours behind the wheel of a truck. Because I do. I was in Jackson Township. I was in quite a few towns that night. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, please, unless it's an emergency, stay home. Let the plows come down your street. If a plow does not come down your street, you ought to call the Department of Public Works. And they will send somebody out there. Trust me, all the phone calls that we received, we dispatched trucks almost immediately. We had some medical emergencies. We had an ambulance get stuck. We took care of everything right away. Again, it falls back on communication. Administrator Wall has been instructed to start with the pothole hotline. If we're going to have potholes from all the salt, please call them in. We're going to get them rectified. If it's on a county road, we'll direct it to the county. That all being said, please get home safe. Have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now continue with a motion to approve executive session meeting minutes of January 25th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern? Yes. Council President Fleming? Yes. Thank you. Second reading, ordinances 02-22, an ordinance amending Chapter 3-107 of the Township Code of the Township of Jackson to authorize the hiring of entry-level law enforcement officers without a civil service examination pursuant to NJSA 11A:4-1.3. We will now have the public hearing on ordinance 02-22. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance may please come to the microphone.
Seeing no one, move to close the public portion.
Second?
Aye.
Motion to approve ordinance 02-22 and advertise a notice of passage and approval in an approved newspaper as required by law.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Fleming?
Yes.
Ordinances for second reading. Ordinance 06-20,
First reading.
I'm sorry, first reading. 06-22, an ordinance replacing Chapter 244 Land Use and Development Regulations, Article 3, Administration, Section 244-12.J, Fees, Mandatory Development Fees of the Township of Jackson to provide for the collection of development fees in support of affordable housing as permitted by the New Jersey Fair Housing Act. Motion to approve ordinance 06-22 on first reading and to authorize a notice and approval and public hearing to be held on February 22nd, 2022.
So moved.
Anybody?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Fleming?
Yes.
Ordinance 07-22, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 3 of the Township's Administrative Code of the Township of Jackson with respect to the Going Green Committee. Motion to approve ordinance 07-22 on first reading and to authorize a notice of approval and public hearing to be held on February 22nd, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern?
Yes, and thank you to Councilman Borelli for spearheading this.
Council Vice President Fleming?
Can I be president tonight? Yes.
We will now continue with the second public hearing, the Ocean County Community Development Block Grant Program, calendar year for 2022. In accordance with the guidelines set forth, the township is required to hold 2 public hearings for the purpose of soliciting ideas and applications the community would like to see presented to the Ocean County Community Development Block Grant Program for calendar year 2022. This hearing will enable the township to select and prioritize applications for the Ocean County Community Development Block Grant Program. The first hearing was held on January 25th, 2022. The calendar year 2022 Community Development Block Grant application for the Township of Jackson will be for HUD Matrix Code 3570.201C, which is Public Facilities and Improvements. Projects to be considered are as follows: automatic doors into township buildings, update township parks for ADA compliance, concrete entries into township buildings. Anyone wishing to speak on this topic and bring forward your suggestions may do so at this time. Please state your name and address for the record.
Seeing no one, move to close the public portion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We will now continue with council discussion on resolutions only.
Anybody?
Nope, I'm good.
Nope, we're
I'm good.
Okay. Public comment will be open for resolutions only. At this time, we will have public comment on resolutions only. If you wish to speak on resolutions, please address the council at the microphone. Please identify yourself for the record.
Seeing no one, move to close the public portion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We will continue with resolutions. Resolution 04R-22 is to amend the 2021 budget, transfer resolution number 6.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Fleming?
And yes.
Resolution 095R-22, authorized submission of project application by the Township of Jackson for the inclusion in the Ocean County Community Development Block Grant Program for calendar year 2022.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Fleming?
Yes.
Resolution 096R-22, consent to the appointment of Joseph Champagne Esquire of the Champagne Law Firm as alternate public defender calendar year 2022.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Fleming?
Yes.
Resolution 097R-22, authorize the purchase of 6 2022 Ford Escape SE from Winter Ford, an approved Ocean County contract vendor, in the amount of $158,304.24, 3 vehicles for code enforcement and 3 vehicles for the building department.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Fleming?
Yes.
Thank you. We will now continue with bills and claims.
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Abstain on vendor numbers NJD 11, STA 76, TRE 10, TRE 26, and TRE 34, but yes to the rest.
Thank you. Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern?
Abstain from vendor SUR 09, yes to the rest.
Thank you. Council President Fleming?
Yes.
Okay, we will now continue with consent agenda. One vote for the following resolutions. 098R-22, resolution opposing the extension of executive orders by Governor Murphy beyond the public health emergency. 099R-22, resolution in support of Senate Bill S-1106, which prohibits mandatory use of medical devices by minors without informed parental consent. 100R-22, amend resolution numbers 068R-22, authorizing purchases and/or services from approved New Jersey State contract vendors for calendar year 2022. Approved Township Council meeting minutes of January 25th, 2022. 102R-22, authorized tax payment refunds. 103R-22, appointing Development Directions, LLC, as the Township's interim 2022 Affordable Housing Administrative Agent. Resolution 104R-22, appointing Development Directions, LLC, as the Township's interim 2022 Housing Rehabilitation Program Administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Sawicki?
Yes.
Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Fleming?
Yes.
Thank you. We will now have public comment on any topic. Please address the council at the microphone and kindly identify your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Serge Ludkovsky. I'm the Archpriest at St. Vladimir's Church, and we also congratulate all of the officers who received promotions today and thank the entire police department for their good service that they do. I know I appreciate when they are stationed right near our church, and it's a great comfort to us. And also, with regard to the recent formation or plans to form the committee regarding Rover Farms, we greet this ordinance with joy, and we do seek to support and actively work with the town council in any way possible, and some of our people will be submitting their resumes for positions on this, and we thank you for the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Sorry. Hi, Suri Robinson on Hampshire Boulevard. Firstly, thank you for all your work for keeping us safe. As a civilian watching what goes on in the world, it's really comforting to see the strength in the law enforcement here in Jackson Township. So thank you. I was excited to hear about the improvements to the parks and recreation, especially the amphitheater. Sounds wonderful. And I just want to commend you for always working to upkeep and now improve the parks that all of our children could enjoy. Regarding the snowstorm, also, it was taken care of so efficiently and effectively. I traveled with my children Sunday morning out of town, and I was really grateful for the cleared roads as we made our exit after the magnificent storm. Last meeting, I spoke a little bit about the non-public school transportation, and I wanted to thank you for taking interest in helping out the entire Jackson community. Mr. Mayor, you heard us, you really heard us, and your pledge to take action is true leadership. We know you take this very seriously. Thank you. Council President Fleming, thank you for your kindness and willingness to take action, try to rectify the situation. I understand that there was a meeting with the Board of Education to have some practical ways to address the non-public busing issues for the non-public students and the traffic and safety issues for all of Jackson in regards to that. And I wanted to respectfully request if there's any updates that can be shared with the public at this time, as mothers that deal with this day in, day out between the Board of Education meetings and the council meetings every morning and every evening. It would mean a lot to hear about any progress that's been made.
At this point, I would probably say you're probably better off at the Board of Ed meetings for this. There are meetings happening, there is progress being made. But we can't speak for them. It's really right now between the LSTA and the Board of Ed. We've gotten them together, they're talking, and they're
Thank
making
you.
progress.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Have a good evening. Thank you all.
Anyone else?
Richard Egan, 526 Diamond Road. I'm very happy about the police promotions. Being a policeman, can never have enough police officers. I just want to ask you, this ordinance that you passed, 2-22, what is that? You're going to hire people to be policemen without a civil service test? Is that what that says?
It allows a bit more latitude, mostly for interdepartment hiring, but everything still has to pass the ordinances of the town and the prerogatives of the chief.
I'm not getting this. So somebody
Not
wants...
all of the towns in New Jersey are civil service.
I understand that they have chief's tests and all that.
Correct.
I thought
At
we were
this
civil
point-
service.
At this point, we cannot hire an officer from a town that doesn't have civil service. We're not allowed to do it. This ordinance allows us to do it if we so desire.
So you're going to hire policemen that have been fully vetted and are actual police officers. if somebody works in a town that's not
It
civil
gives us the
service.
capability, it doesn't say we're going to do it.
But-
It just opens up the door to allow us a little bit more latitude for the officers we want to get.
This doesn't sound right to me. But what do I know? All right, thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
Joseph Sullivan, 31 Cathy Court in Jackson. I want to congratulate the officers that were promoted tonight, and I want to especially thank Mayor Reyna, the administration, and the council for its commitment to hiring more officers, to making sure that as this township grows, our police department grows with it. And I really do appreciate that, because as we see in other places in the country, they took an opposite opinion, and we see chaos. We don't see chaos here in Jackson. This is a safe community, and we're all proud to live here. I also want to thank the mayor and Council President Fleming for their leadership in helping our Orthodox community find a busing solution. You have all worked above and beyond to help this community work together, and I want to thank you both for your leadership on this. I also would like to thank the township for its commitment to the disabled when it comes to its recreation plan. I am just very grateful for all you have done tonight. And you hear all the bad news, but you never hear the good news. And I would love to see an article written about all the good that you have accomplished here in Jackson Township. And I want to thank you all. And once again, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Mr. Rapp, 49 Johnson Lane, Jackson. What I'd like to talk about tonight is the rural nature of Jackson Township and the hydraulic nature of our subsoils underneath Jackson Township, and the amazing amount of woodlands that we still have here in Jackson. Noting that, I want to bring to the council's attention that much of the revenue that Jackson enjoys from tourism are hunters. And hunters require a lot of raw land or undeveloped land in which to hunt. So, it may seem disproportionate to someone who comes from the city when they come to Jackson Township and they see our vast amount of woodlands. You could drive for a mile, 2-3 miles sometimes in Jackson Township and see woodlands. It is absolutely critical that Jackson Township and the council recognize what a gem Jackson Township is in the state of its preservation and its integral part in the global preservation of our atmosphere. We are now having numerous scientists from all around the world, and we now have a forum that had just had their first meeting this month on the forests of New Jersey, and the science is clear. There was 360 people, most of which were PhDs on that meeting this month, and it was a unanimous consent that they had prior to making their presentation that the time for deforesting is long over, and it is time for reforesting. So Jackson Township stands in a unique position. We still have much of our intact ecosystem. We don't have to do the reforesting. All we have to do is protect what we have. We are the source. Underneath Jackson Township, we have the largest beginnings of waterways that go westward and eastward. Barnegat Bay has made improvements, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And Jackson Township sits in a unique place to do that. We are the source of many of the waterways that go west and east, and we're very unique in that. And I think it's largely responsible for the subsoil is a larger aggregate, and it contains a lot of water. So when you have spaces, when you have larger particles of sand, that's where you have underground water. And Jackson Township has many, many aquifers that are within 3 feet and 2 feet, and some are lakes in our township that sit above the land that are fed by underground aquifers. One of which today I witnessed an eagle, an American eagle, that was perched on a lake at the end of Grawtown Road and on West Veterans Highway, and a few people taking pictures. It seemed very exciting. But he was about, well, he had to be 2 feet tall. He was, of course, a fully grown bald eagle. And he was eating a fish, something that I'm familiar with from watching them do it along the Delaware River. We were fortunate enough to see one dive in the river, come up with a fish, so we know what it looks like. We saw him de-gutting the fish, and he ate his fill, and then he took off and he flew within 30 feet away from me, but 50 feet up into the air. And it was truly majestic. But it's a sign that the efforts that have been made by numerous environmentalists over the last 100 years were successful here in Jackson. And as a long-time, 4-decade resident of Jackson Township, it's breaking my heart to see the deforestation. The report that the forum that we just held, that I was part of, that I took part in, states unequivocally that what we need to do is when a tree falls in the forest, that carbon that it has captured has to stay in the forest. And that a mature tree, on average, will inhale or process 100 times the CO2 of 1 acre of small trees. It's an incredible amount of CO2 capture. And it's a process that the council needs to educate yourself on more of as decision makers, because we stand at a place where mankind is really, really on the edge. It's a razor's edge. We're either going to make it or we're not going to make it. And the planet Earth is going to be fine. I'm sure planet Earth is going to shake us off. I'm not here telling you to save the whales. Not that that wasn't important. But what I'm telling you is to save the humans, save the human race. And if we don't address forestry, that is the key. And that's what was announced in that forum, and that's what's been announced at COP 19, COP 20, COP 21, COP 22, is that the forests are the answer. I know we're not the Amazon rainforest, but if you look at the Northeast, we're pretty darn close. We're pretty darn close. I want you to understand that I'm here tonight, to speak for the waterways, the animals, and the trees, because the science on that, maybe not 100% on this, because it's an evolving science. I don't feel strongly about that. That's why I didn't talk about that. I wear mine when when I'm afraid or whatever. They tell me to wear it, I wear it. I did lose several friends. But the science on the atmosphere and the science on what we need to do to reverse global climate change is very clear. And it is plant trees and stop cutting down trees. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody?
Seeing no one else, move to close public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to close?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for coming tonight.